Okay, apologies for not making this podcast earlier. A busy work day for me on the day job at the Boca Raton Tribune. I guess everybody has seen, and you know, I keep wanting to kind of get back to talking about football matches on the pitch and other things, maybe even things going on in football club boardrooms, not at FIFA or at the various confederations, but there keep being things that happen. So here we are again, everybody. We are discussing the latest developments in this FIFA scandal and the joint letter from UEFA, the Asian Confederation, and CONCACAF in terms of Infantino and governance in FIFA. So the letter, I must say, has caught me a bit off guard with my reporting. I feel like Infantino's position is tenuous, but I did not think anything had really moved the needle in the last few days. Even the Telegraph report about the Telegraph is now in overdrive. They reported about Infantino's mistress or girlfriend being paid by UEFA. Now they've gone into a key JP Morgan banker having been in the Epstein files, which because JP Morgan was helping to finance this. So they're in overdrive. It's interesting because those of you who are familiar with the politics of the UK know that very often the Telegraph, or most of the time the Telegraph, is a paper on the right. The Guardian is the paper on the left. They are the definitive, they're not the tabloids, they're the definitive kind of ideological papers on either end of the political spectrum in the UK. This thing, they're both, they seem to be collaborating, or they're on the same team, right? Basically, doesn't surprise me. I think this is where the politics goes out the door, and the Tories and Labour are together. There seems to be a consensus in Britain that Infantino has to go, among politicians, among people in football. So this letter is very damning. I have to say it's very strong. It is stronger than the things UEFA has actually put out on their own. And this part is really damning. Let me read this. FIFA's recent letter to its vice presidents and 211 member associations acknowledges that mistakes were made in the process. It treats this as a failure of communication when what football witnessed was a failure of judgment. Let that sink in. A proposal advanced on a compressed timeline without meaningful consultation and pushed toward a deadline before member associations could properly review its terms is not the product of an oversight. It is the product of a design intended to limit scrutiny and transparency and debate. Okay, I'm adding that last bit, but that's what it's... It did not acknowledge that the proposal itself was inherently wrong. There remains no recognition that attempting to sell an interest in the FIFA World Cup was a profound failure of judgment, not just a procedural misstep, but a fundamental breach of trust with the very institutions FIFA exists to serve. Okay, skip a little deeper in the letter. FIFA's own letter also confirms that only one elected official was present at the leadership meeting in Morocco. No FIFA council members nor member associations were invited to participate. Only the management committee composed of FIFA-employed senior staff was present. So they're saying this. I should point out, just to backtrack to the beginning of the video, the reason we have to continue to cover this, for those of you who I know, there are some of you that are annoyed by this, is that the numbers this is doing, particularly on the podcast streams, far exceed anything else we've done, including stuff during the World Cup. So everybody seems to be, or at least a lot of people seem to be captivated by this, and they want to hear my commentary and our analysis of this. So let's continue. There is silence where there should be accountability, distance where there should be openness. These are not qualities football deserves in leadership. This is why we have taken this stance, not lightly, not alone, but together, and out of a duty to the game we serve. Solidarity, right? It's what football is organized on. So here are the signatures. Salman bin Ibrahim Al Khalifa, AFC president. There was some speculation he might still be with Infantino. I guess not. Datuk Seri Windsor John, the AFC General Secretary, who I do not know. Maybe that's I don't know, Indonesian name. I don't know where he's from. Victor Montagliani, the CONCACAF president, former Canada soccer president, who we know wants to be FIFA president himself. Philippe Moggio, the CONCACAF General Secretary. Philippe Moggio is again, someone that I know is in this position. Alexander Čeferin, president of UEFA from Slovenia. We knew he'd be contributing to this. Theodoros, the general secretary of UEFA, who we knew would contribute to this. In addition, I can tell you Nasser Al-Khelaifi and the European clubs are, and I went ahead and reported this while I was in the middle of all my other stuff with Boca. I think Al-Khelaifi is going to formally, based on what I've been told by multiple sources who would probably know. Now, the reporting has been in all sorts of different places here, and there's a lot that people have gotten wrong. A lot of pieces of people have gotten wrong. I have not gotten anything wrong personally yet. I keep my fingers crossed that I'm being cautious enough that I don't get anything wrong. If I get something wrong, I'm accountable. I'm going to come back and say, hey, I got this wrong. But the sources I have talked to tell me that Al-Khelaifi is ready to pull European club support for 2029 FIFA Club World Cup, which would effectively mean the Club World Cup is left with, without UEFA clubs, forget it. That's even worse than the national team level. There's no point. So, very sorry to tell you all that. So that's going to be something to really kind of hem in on if and when that happens. It feels like whatever momentum Infantino had early last week and the opponents of Infantino that had petered out has now kind of ratcheted back up. Because of FIFA's unwillingness to be transparent, Infantino's unwillingness to be transparent, and unwillingness to engage the leaders of the confederations. So you've heard me say that there is dissent within these confederations, okay? I am not sure if there's any dissent within UEFA. There may be one or two federations. Within CONCACAF, I was beginning to hear from my contacts at Caribbean federations the last few days that they were troubled by Infantino's statement, which was attributable to, well, the FIFA statement and then the statement that was attributable to Infantino himself late last week. So I believe the CFU is now fully on board with this effort. Now, would that mean they would vote for Montagliani head on an election with Infantino? A lot can change. My understanding is Mexico is with Infantino still, so it's not a unified CONCACAF effort, but that Canada and the U.S., who are with Montagliani, are against Infantino. Very hard for the U.S. to break from Infantino, but they have. And then Central America is against Infantino. In terms of Asia, I understand there are 6 or 7 countries that are broken off. That's it. Less than I thought. Now that could change. This keeps changing. But if you -7 there, you minus, let's allow for 2 or 3 more in CONCACAF in addition to Mexico. That's -11, maybe 2 in UEFA. So that would be -13. You're talking about still enough countries that's left to vote Infantino out. You need 106 votes. I think if you combine the 3 federations, you're somewhere in the 130s. Am I doing my math correctly? Yeah, you'd be around 130. So if you lose 11, let's say you lose 12, you're still at 118. So I think Johnny Infantino is in big trouble, much bigger trouble now than he was late last week. And the FIFA, the summit in Rabat, and the subsequent events and statements and communications did not get the job done for FIFA's president to head off this crisis. And now the train has left the station, so to speak. The question is Infantino on the tracks, and is he going to get hit? Or can he get off the tracks in time? I don't know. I think this is really fluid. Daniel Feuerstein and I will have a special live show tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, discussing the situation. It's gotten to that stage that we're gonna have to do this. Thank you for patroning Beyond the 90.